Good morning, everybody. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF. I'm Dave Finale. That's John Pugh. We are ready to rock and roll here with another episode. It is episode 307, which is 304 weeks in a row. We're coming up on 6 years, which we're really excited about. This gets more and more fun for me, John, as I do it, because I mean, you were on about a year and a half ago, and here you are. So many things have changed, but so many things have remained the same. So I mean, there's a lot of cool things to talk about. Thanks so much for coming on today, man.
Thanks for having me, Dave. Crazy that it's been that long. It seems like it was just yesterday, and there's so much more to share these days.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've been around the block, but you've been in the block, so that's really cool. So we're gonna get started in 1 minute. Nelson, hit the video.
Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team.
Welcome, everybody. Again, this is Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 307, brought to you by njheroesprogram.com, which is where we help heroes in the state of New Jersey buy and sell houses, and we save them some money, and we give them tons and tons of value, so they're still getting the best service possible. Here we are with Mr. John Pugh. John, you're in California today, where you live.
Yes, sir. Orange County, California.
Orange County, California. And you know what? We've been doing this broadcast a long time, and you've been on, as I said, and we've had some greats, and another great is here. You've been in the real estate business. You have coached a lot of great people, helped a lot of great teams. Before we get started, though, I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
What does TGIF stand for?
Thank God it's finale.
Exactly. Thank you so much for that, for remembering or guessing it or whatever. It doesn't matter because it's correct. Anyway, John, like I said, you've been in the real estate business for a while, and the whole idea here is to have a conversation about what's going on. So first, what I always like to do is find out what your path was and is, and how you've gotten from when you first started to get into real estate to where you are now, helping agents and teams grow, and your own business as well. And just so everybody knows a little bit about John, John is the founder of 4 Aces Nation at eXp Realty. He's a top recruiting coach for builders at eXp. He is also a humanitarian, a big humanitarian. He raised over $1 million last year for charity. And, he's just one of those special people that I've had the opportunity to meet, talk to, and to work with in one way or the other. So, John, just that little intro, your path has to be really, really exciting, as I'm sure it is, or it might not be. So talk to me about that.
Thanks, Dave. So, there's that other episode, whatever number you'll throw that out there too. If they want to go back and watch that one, there's a lot of stuff that I probably dove into on that. Some of the key points are I was raised a real estate kid. My parents got into real estate. My dad had a heart transplant when I was 10 and kind of came into real estate as a retirement career. My mom joined him to kind of help run the front of the house, and he kind of ran the back of the house in that, but they never really treated it like a business. And I just kind of came into it as a young kid and started working with a partner, and fortunately was able to be mentored at a very high level for the first 7 years of my career. Sold ultra luxury homes, $5 to $50 million estates in coastal Orange County, which is a great experience. But it also taught me a lot about what I didn't want to do in the business. And that was, I didn't want to work with people that were transactional. I didn't want to work. A lot of these very wealthy people, you're working with their staff, and it is not relational, and you're not really helping anyone. And I've always wanted to help people. When I was younger, I wanted to be a teacher at one point. That doesn't pay very well, but I figured that maybe through real estate, I could give back and impact a community. And so I started with that after I left that partnership by finding people who needed my help and appreciated what I did. And I built a real estate business. And then I found my way to Keller Williams through my current business partner, Meyer. He was running the KW Newport office and brought me in on that. And then I started working with him on growth, both locally in that market center and on the international ALC with Keller Williams. And really just learned that, the key metric in the real estate industry is great people. Great people are the thing that make the difference. And that's not just real estate. That's every business. And so recruiting gets a bad rap, but The idea of being a recruiter is just caring enough about somebody's goals that you're willing to take a stand for them and put them in an environment where they can have what they want. And so I changed my viewpoint on recruiting and growth, and I became a KW team leader, ran a market center there for a couple of years, and then was a productivity coach before joining EXP about 5 years ago. And I had a team member who tragically passed away. He was an ex-team member at that point, and we didn't share core values. But when I went to his memorial service, he was surrounded. It was filled with young kids and teens and banners and posters and balloons. And I really realized what an impact he had made. He never sold that many houses, but he was very passionate about giving back to the community. And so in the last 5 years, I've really changed my focus to helping people and building communities. And I coach multiple sports, and I'm very involved with my kids and my kids' school and different youth athletics. And I'm passionate about helping agents build their businesses. And so in that time, I've partnered with 36 agents at EXP. I have 20 of those agents that are in production. The rest are either retired, focusing on other things. And me and those 20 agents built a group of about 900 agents around the country that I get to help build their businesses and pour into. And on top of that, I am the top agent attraction coach in the industry. I work with the most elite teams in the world, helping them scale and grow their businesses and build out leveraged expansion teams, essentially through models like revenue share. And it's been a real joy, and I love what I do. And I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the entire world. And yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, well, there's so much there, man, and the charity thing is what really hits home with me of doing a lot of things. And I mentioned that the NJ Heroes program thing that sponsors this, that's my program where I wanted to give back to heroes, and the hero is veteran. It's healthcare professionals, law enforcement, teachers, as well as postal workers, as well as municipal workers who really don't really get much credit for anything. And so, it's just getting off the ground, doing well. I'm really excited about it. I get to help people that are a little bit ignored sometimes and some not. But the point is that you've done such a great job doing that, and the inspiration that you use and have used there really has driven a lot of what you do, and that's obvious, right? You talked about recruiting and how you changed the way you looked at it.
Yeah.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about that, because that has a lot to do, that simple change, people can change in looking at a lot of different things. And that's how, the way I coach and teach agents as well. So talk to me about what you changed and what was the process?
Well, like what I hear from a lot of people is I don't want to be a recruiter. And the reason I think that they feel that way is because they see it as like a self-serving thing. Like, I don't want to try and talk someone into something that they don't want to do so that I can benefit. And like, I don't either. That sounds horrible. But when you understand really what it's about connecting people to the opportunities that are going to serve them the best. And so I'm never going to try and attract or partner with somebody that I can't help or that's not a fit for the environment that I'm in or whatnot. And so that becomes like a numbers game, right? Like, you wouldn't talk a seller into selling if it wasn't in their best interest, I hope. Right. And it's kind of the same thing. And so everything revolves around people, good people. So when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers wanted to win a Super Bowl, they didn't say like, oh, I wonder if there's any quarterbacks like we could go get. And like, maybe one of them would be good and we'll see. They were like, who's the best quarterback? And they were like, let's go get that guy, because Tom Brady is the guy that's proven that he can win championships. I guarantee you, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers don't get Tom Brady, they don't win the Super Bowl. Like, that is not even a question. And so if you want to have a winning team, whether you want to have a winning Little League team, whether you want to have a winning, Girl Scout troop, whether you want to have a winning, tech sales organization, like whatever you do, you have to go find people that believe in what you're doing, that share your core values, that have a common mission, that want to go and accomplish something. And I take a lot of pride in that. It's a really beautiful thing to be able to build communities and find great people and put them in the roles where they will flourish at the highest level.
So when you're recruiting agents, when we're starting to say, okay, so we need to have people that we want to work with, I guess, right? And people that we think that we can actually help. Yeah. Is there a cue, or is there something that we have to notice? Like, look, in this business, the way we are, we're both with EXP, and we both want to build our growth. We want to help people. In order for us to help people, we want to bring in agents that we can help. We're both in situations like that where we help others as well. So are we looking for something specific in that person, or is it still a numbers game like it used to be when I had my brokerage?
For me, I can only answer for me, but for me, it starts with core values. So me and that team member, Keith, we didn't share the same core values at the time. Like, I wanted money and I had a lot of ego, and there were a lot of things that, like, we were not in alignment. And Keith had these like core values of like community and giving back, and like these things that really at the time I didn't think were important. And so that's why me and Keith didn't work out. That's why he ended up leaving my team. And nowadays, most of my core values probably would match very closely with Keith's. And that's because I really got a wake up call there. And so I start with core values, because if you don't have core value alignment, then you're going to be miserable. And so I don't want to build an organization. I don't want to create an environment for myself in which my core values don't align with my daily activities. And
Right.
So as long as I'm clear with the things that are most important to me, like family and freedom and integrity, and those are like buzzwords for a lot of people.
Right.
Like, it's easy to like do your core value exercise and like take like 6 buzzwords and stick them on the wall and be like, these are our core values. But and that's what most people do.
Yes, they do.
But your core values are the things that you'll say no to something over. Your core values are the thing that you'll take a stand for. So like, if you want to know what your core values are, like, determine the things in which you are non-negotiable. Those are the things that you truly value. And then the other way to know your values, right? Your core values, they're the things that you will devote time to. So time is the thing that we all have in common. Why does Jeff Bezos make more than me when we have the same amount of hours in the day? It's reflective of leverage and time and how he utilizes that, or anyone utilizes that. And so your calendar will show you your priorities, which will likely be regarding your values. And so if you value something, right, you will allocate time to it, because time is our most precious resource.
Okay. So time, your calendar will represent and will show you exactly what your values are. All right. So you're a new agent, you're an agent just, getting going, or you're a stuck agent, and people tell you that your schedule is really important. So I push a couple of really, really big things to me, which is schedule, calendar, as well as where are you tracking what you're doing? And for an agent that's prospecting, right? So when you talk to an agent and you say that this is what you need to do and this is how you have to do it, I believe that a lot of agents will put it down in their calendar, because agents have their own core values too, whether they know it or not, right?
Well, they do, and they often find themselves in juxtaposition with their core values. So if we're talking from an agent sales perspective, the things that I see most common are like, they buy Zillow leads or online leads.
Right.
They do that for a period of time, and they run it at a relatively low margin. And
Right.
They have this goal of building their business up so that in the future, they will have a client base that they can sell repeat and referral business to. The problem with that is when you build your business with a foundation of online leads, you actually are taking the bottom of the barrel usually in terms of people, because most people find a real estate agent through someone they know and trust, and either past experience or a referral or something like that. So the amount of people that find a real estate agent from the internet, they tend to be people that don't have good relationships, and that are, that maybe don't value real estate agents and all these other things. And so then you end up with like 100 people that are kind of like bottom of the barrel that you've sold houses to. And then I have this saying, like, a-holes only refer other a-holes. So like, if you did a great job for this person who is not in alignment with your core values and they refer you a friend, chances are that friend sucks too. And so now you wake up 5 years later and you're miserable because your plan sucks, because you have no shared core values with any of the people that you work with.
Yeah.
So if you do it in reverse and you figure out what your core values are first, and then you figure out how to fill your database with people who share your core values, whether it be through involvement in the community, mission-driven type work where you're doing things, to promote local organizations and finding other people that want to be involved in those causes as well. Even things like open houses and some more traditional methods of building your business, they can all be framed in a way where you filter out people who are not in alignment with what you believe and what you stand for. And you only work with the people who do, because there is an exponential return when you're in alignment with that. Whereas if you are just like, I'll work with anybody, then you actually get a diminished return, because you end up having, you have a harder path to get where you want to go. In general, it's a much harder situation because you're not excited about the people that you're working with.
And this also comes from the point of, what people want to accomplish. And it also comes from the point of how you run your business and how, like we mentioned briefly, open houses. I mean, how are you going to communicate with people that come into your open house, and what you're going to say when you're on a prospecting call? The questions you ask are going to reveal whether you want to work with them or not. Would you agree with that?
100%. And like, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but you can actually push people away really well. So one of the best ways to like push away the wrong people is by putting yourself out there authentically on video. So like, you can see my Insta, TikTok is right here. Like, if you go on my TikTok, you can see a lot of videos that I've made. And if you watch a lot of those videos, you'll understand who I am as a person a lot better. And so when you reach out to me, or when we meet in person, or when we communicate, you'll already know who I am. You'll know, and then I can focus on who you are. And so what's cool about that is I will intentionally repel people that are not a fit for me, because they're going to get to know me. So for instance, like, if you swear a lot, then you should swear when you're around new potential clients, because at the end of the day, like, you can't fake it. Like, you like meet them and you're like, oh, no, and whatever. And then all of a sudden you're like, fuck, whatever. And then the audio doesn't match the video. So be authentic, because you will authentically attract the people who want to work with somebody like you. And then you don't have to put on like a mask every morning to fake that you're someone that you're not, which is like extremely draining and very stressful and very annoying, only to like slip up one day. And then your client's like, wait a second, I thought you were like church boy, and now you're saying the F word and da da da. Like, and that's just one example. This can come from politics. This can come from religion. This can come from sexuality. This can come from anything that's important to you. Like, let yourself be portrayed as publicly as possible, such that people who, like, if you are, if you're a diehard Republican Trump person, like, you should probably tell people that, because there's a lot of people that believe that same thing. And then there's a lot of people who don't like that. And so the people who don't like that will stay away from you, and the people who like that will be attracted to you, and vice versa, right? Whether that be gay, trans, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. I mean, you speak to something that I actually teach, and I might want to be the only trainers or coaches that talk about cursing in prospecting. I mean, I think it really reveals, like for instance, okay, listen to this, right? And I think you'll agree with me. How many times you've been talking to somebody and you just meet, maybe it's a prospect, maybe it's a buyer, maybe it's a seller, maybe it's an agent, and all of a sudden they say, yeah, that's bullshit or whatever. And all of a sudden when you hear that, if you do that and you talk like that, it's like, oh, this is one of my people, right? I understand. And I think it drops a lot of barriers, and you're able to do it. And I tell agents, I say, look, when you're on a phone call, if someone's talking about something and they say something like, well, all these agents are calling me and they all suck, you all sound the same. You can say, well, you know what? I know what you mean. We do all sound the same. And a lot of times you probably think it's bullshit, but it really isn't. I mean, it's just something you can throw in there that makes you real.
It's authenticity. So the most attractive quality that anyone can have, in my experience, is authenticity, because people want to know that they're talking to a real person. And so whatever you believe is sort of irrelevant, right? You'll find your people. There's 8 billion people in the world. It is extremely naive to think that you can't find enough people to meet your goal, whatever that goal is. Like, my goal is to grow a community at EXP of 5,000 agents. That sounds big. That's more than most communities at EXP. But at the end of the day, there's 1.3 million real estate agents domestically. So like 5,000 as a representative of 1.3 million, that's nothing. Like, and
Right.
and that's just one example. That you want to talk about, you want to serve 100 clients? Like there's 3 million people in Orange County, California alone. And I want to sell 100 homes. Like, there's 10,000 homes sold per month, or like in today's market, it's probably like 6,000 homes, but like there's 6,000 homes sold per month. I can't find 100 people that want to work with me. Like, no, you're just lying to yourself. You're just talking to the same 5 people over and over again and wondering why you're not getting the result that you're looking for. I had an agent come to me the other day and she's like, I got to be honest, like I'm dead in the water. This is a successful agent, somebody who's a top producer, sold a lot of houses for many years. And she's like, my business sucks. Like I've got like 5 maybe clients. I had a couple cancellations. Like I don't have a lot going on. And I was like, okay, cool. Like I gave her a plan. I'm like, here's how you work with now business. We need to buy, need to sell people right now. We need death, diapers, divorces, deployment, Democrats. We need the D's, right? We need to figure out who is a need to move person, because this is not a want to move market, right? So I was like, here's your homework, do your business plan, whatever. And then at the end, I'm like, would you like the shortcut? And she's like, shortcut? Like, what do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, I give you a shortcut. She's like, okay, what's the shortcut? I said, go have 100 decaf coffees in the next 30 days. I said, I don't care who you have them with. You have them with somebody you met at the bus stop. You can have them with literally anyone, kid's teacher, your friends, your mom. Go have 100 decaf coffees so you don't die in the next 30 days and tell me that you aren't so busy that you are dying. Because at the end of the day, 100 decaf coffees will ultimately result in a ton of business for a sales-minded person who cares about people, who knows how to get into a conversation and then take that forward to whatever the future point of business is, whether it's a referral, whether it's buying an investment property, whether it's helping that person just in something in their life that will then come back around in future business. There's so many ways that you can pivot a conversation to lead to results if you just get in front of people.
Is that person willing to do that work?
Yeah, it sounds like it. And you know what? I hope so. But that's the job. She wanted to fight me on, I'm like, what is your job? She's like, oh, I help people find their dreams, or like whatever. I'm like, we hear that a lot, but like your job is to sell houses. Your job is a salesperson. You are a real estate salesperson.
Right.
So get over yourself and stop thinking that you're not a salesperson and own it. Because there are 2 worlds within this. In sales, there are 2 teams. There's the team of unsavory salespeople who are out there every day to try and take advantage of somebody to make a buck. And then there is the army of good, of the great salespeople who are in this to help people and do good in the world and create amazing outcomes. And they both have this incredible skill to sell and to help guide people through a journey and to get them to an outcome and to make a commission or whatever that looks like. And yet, if the team of good people, if they don't work harder than the team of bad people, then the team of bad people are the ones that the consumer is going to get. And so when you don't do the work, when you're on the army of good who really want to help people, when you don't make your calls and you don't have your coffees and you don't do the work, what you're really saying is that there are people out there that I care about, that I'm willing to let land in the hands of people who are going to take advantage of them.
That's that's so simple, but it's so important and so true, right? So it's hard when you talk about, say, go do this, right? And you say so, but there's so many things that you and I know through our experience and through the wisdom that we've grown by, and we've seen what has worked and what hasn't worked. And then we move forward and say, okay, so we try to help agents do this. And my question to you, when you said have 100 cups of coffee in the next 30 days, and I said, will they do it? Because typically that's a great idea. And then they walk out the door and it's like gone.
Well, that's the shortcut. So I told her to build her own plan and in surrounding the things that she's used to doing. But if you don't want to just make it really easy for anyone listening to this, that's literally all you have to do. And the problem most people run into is what I said before. They just talk to the same 5 people and they sit around and they worry about their website and, they're on social media, but they're not doing it purposefully and they're not talking to people and engaging with people and they not adding value to anyone. And then they're like, well, I don't have any business. And it's like, well, yeah, I know. And that did you think you should? Like, I don't know if maybe you don't know how this works.
Well, it's like, look, the market that we're in today, and this is being broadcast on April 26, 2024. I had to think for a second. And so the market is challenging, right? So, and that's why that person came to you who usually does really, really well and says, what do I do now? I'm kind of stuck, and give them a lot of credit for admitting that and coming forward. And the whole thing is that we've got this market shift, and we're seeing just that issue with a lot of agents. Is aside from the 100 cups of coffee or that kind of a thing, with the market shifts, with everything that's going on throughout our real estate lives as a sales and brokerage person, is there something else that people need to be aware of, or there's something else that agents need to see? Is it just, get over themselves and get to work?
It's those, you have to shift. So what I taught her is you have to shift your focus on whatever works for you. So like if you are good at open houses, or you're good at online leads, or whatever you've been doing, you just have to craft it in a way that the people that come into your funnel are going to be like need to sell business. So you don't want to, because you only have so much time. So what we often do as salespeople is we don't want to be out of business. We don't want to be bored or unemployed or whatever. And so we lie to ourselves about the people that we're actually meeting with and working with. So rather than have no buyers and no sellers in your pipeline or on your active roster, you would rather work with 5 people that might want to buy if the situation were right, etc. And so you show them property and you spend time on them and you look for houses and you do all this stuff. And then you enter under a contract, and then they back out because there was some issue on the inspection or something happened. There was a hurdle in the way that they couldn't get past. And then all the time, energy, and effort that you've put forward is now down the toilet because the person you were working with did not have the proper motivation for a market like this to begin with. And so you are much, much better served by having no one to work with and being specific and picky about the people you put time into. And I would rather work with no one and keep prospecting for somebody who actually needs to take action than just working with someone to make myself feel good about it because they might take action. So that's the crafted message. Like, that's what people need to go after. They need to adapt their strategies to find people. Like, we're in a 7% interest rate market. Not a lot of people want to buy a house with a 7% interest rate. I get that. Not a lot of people want to sell a 2% interest rate or a 3% interest rate to buy a 7% interest rate. And if you're a salesperson and you have a heart and you care about your customers, then you're probably not the person who's going to tell them, yeah, go ahead, let's sell your 4-bedroom at 2.5% interest rate and buy you a 4-bedroom at 7% and like triple your payment. Like, you're probably not that person. So stop working with those people and start talking about how they might be able to tap their equity that's sitting there and use it to buy a kiddie condo for their kids who are young, so that when their kids are older and go to college, they can sell the condo and pull that equity and use it to pay for college. Start having different conversations with those people.
That's right.
Or, you know whose 7% interest rate looks really good to? Somebody who's paying 100% interest in rent. If someone can afford to buy a home at a 7% interest rate and they are currently renting, rent is always 100% interest. So change the messaging and the people that you're speaking with to match the opportunities of the present market. That's the only way to get through this.
Changing that and knowing what to say and how to say it, is that the secret? Is that the key to growing a business in this market?
No, it's just listening and talking to the right people. You have to get to the crux of you have to know who you're looking for, which I just told you. It's not that hard. Right. But once you know who you're looking for, you need to just go get in front of people with a servant's heart to listen to what's going on in their life and help them with whatever it is. And then through helping them, either be offered the opportunity to help them transactionally in real estate. But the problem most agents make is that they talk to everyone like a customer. stop treating your database like a customer. Like you and I both, a good friend of ours, Jeff Talbot. Jeff is a top online social media coach. Jeff teaches referral mastery through online communication. Essentially, he's amazing at Facebook, and making real life friends out of internet strangers. But what Jeff taught me that resonates the most with me is stop treating everyone like a customer and treat everyone in your life like a referral partner. If you treated everyone in your life like they could introduce you to somebody who wants to buy or sell, and you stop trying to talk everyone you know into buying or selling with you directly, everyone knows somebody who needs to buy or sell this year. Every single person. And so every communication you have is with somebody who can connect you to somebody who's amazing, who shares your core values, that needs your services and is ready to transact and is prepared to deal with the current market conditions.
Just like you said, man. I mean, look, 100% of the people you know someone who's moving this year, right? And 15% of the people that you know actually are going to move or make a move. Maybe it's 12%, but still, the way the market is. But still, everybody knows somebody that has a need. And when you have conversations and you get into them with authenticity, as you said before, it just makes it so much easier. And it's not like, well, I don't want to call the people I know and ask them if they want to buy or sell. That's not what I said. That's not what I want you to do. No. I want you to build your relationship.
Yeah.
That's what it all comes down to. And sometimes it's like when we're working with different people, sometimes it comes to a point where they want to hear something else and they have this sales pitch, treating people like a customer, as you just said, right? They don't know they need to treat them as people and treat them as friends. So as you mentioned 7% interest rate, we've got a difficult market here. We talk about inflation being involved with the numbers with the interest rate, and we're waiting for inflation to come down before interest rates change, and the fear of, well, people will also ask, is there going to be a crash, and what's going to happen with prices if interest rates come down? Will prices go up? It's like we talked the other day, John. I was saying, is New Jersey, which is, opposite coast, are we going to be the new Orange County where, a 3-bedroom Cape Cod style house is $800,000?
Yeah.
We talk about increase in prices. I mean, is that going to happen everywhere?
I mean, so if you look at real estate values, if you take a historic chart and you look at real estate values and you look at historic inflation, the chart lines up directly. Like they are completely correlated. Right. So what I can tell you is that any significant appreciation that anyone has seen in any real estate prices ever in the history of real estate is only pegged to inflation. That's the only thing that actually moves real estate prices up. And because those two charts are literally lockstep with one another. And so the benefit to that is that inflation erodes your debt. So one of the biggest reasons why building wealth through real estate works is because as the inflation brings the price up of the property, you're not actually making money, but your debt against that property is being devalued. And so that's why it's such a great hedge, but it's also why it's such a great way to bank capital that you can then reinvest in another property or however you want to handle that creation of wealth. And so one really interesting thing that people aren't paying attention to, and people are like, when is the market going to crash? Well, it already did. Like the market has already adjusted because the house might be worth more, but the currency is worth less. So your house isn't actually worth any more money today than it was a year ago. Your currency is just worth less than it was a year ago. And so even if the house is worth 100,000 extra, like that has already been eroded. If the prices are the same, which in many markets they are, if it was 500,000 a year ago and it's 500,000 today, well, 500,000 today is worth a lot less than 500,000 a year ago. And so that 10, 20% correction is already baked in to the economics through inflation. And that's this like shadow thing that nobody's thinking about and nobody's talking about. But that's really where we stand. So no, the market is not going to crash. The prices are not going to come down, but the value of the prices is actually less than it was prior.
So let's look at that again and review that again, because this is really an important point. So it's inflation is making house prices go up, but actually your value, the number is more, and the appreciation is there, but your money is worth less. And the crash is where the crash is. The money's worth less.
Yeah, yeah. Because it represents less, it is already pegged in. So yeah, I mean, in certain markets, prices have continued to go up, but in many markets, prices are pretty flat. And because they're flat, they're not actually flat. They're flat in an inflationary environment. So if your property value is flat in an inflationary environment, it means that there is actually a loss there. And that loss is probably, depending on your market, somewhere between 10 and 20%. And that is a correction. You know, it's not going to crash. Like a crash is like a horrible worst case scenario. And that could happen. I mean, heck, who knows what would happen? And, you know, there's other factors that could create something like that. But they are like very large scale, real bad problems. They're not like what we're actually dealing with. And so, you know, go back in time, pick a point on the calendar. You want to hold your breath and time the market. Just pick a time on the calendar when, you know, you wish you would have bought. Every single time you wish you would have bought is a time when everyone was like, you shouldn't buy. It's the scariest time in the entire world. The only good times, best times to buy real estate are when every single person was like, oh my gosh, the market crashed. It's the worst thing in the world. We shouldn't buy. And that's when nobody bought. And so you can go back at any point in time, and had you bought then, you would have been in a better position long-term. So the old adage is true. Like, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. Like, buy now, and time will be your great. It's just like the stock market. It's like anything else. When should you buy? When you can, and hold it as long as you can, and invest. Like, continue to invest, continue to double down, whether it be in stocks. You know, go look at the chart on the S&P 500, and tell me you don't wish you invested early and often. It's the same thing with real estate.
I mean, look, I was around when Apple started. I should have, but I didn't. Right? Apple, Amazon, the whole thing. I mean, Amazon didn't make money for many years.
Well, you could have bought Apple, you know, when it started and been a gajillionaire, or you could have waited and bought it and still been wealthy, and you could have bought it 5 years ago and still done incredibly well. Yep. So like that's like EXP. A lot of people are like, oh, I missed the boat. I didn't buy Apple when it was like brand new. And like, but like you didn't have to, because you could have bought Apple a few years ago and still done incredibly well. And that's the same with EXP. Like, you didn't have to get in on day one to enjoy this company or benefit from it. I know people who joined a year ago that are killing it as a result. I know people, there are people that will join this year that will have a tremendous outcome. Brian Carruthers joined, he's one of the top network marketing guys in the world. He wrote the book, Building an Empire. He joined Legal Shield. He didn't join Legal Shield when they were a brand new company. He didn't want to join a brand new company. He could have joined any network marketing company in the world. He just wanted to be in the network marketing business. He didn't care what the product was. He joined Legal Shield because they were an established entity, but he joined after 20 years. They had been established for 20 years, and he still came in and became the number one guy in the entire company. And people had a 20-year head start on him. It's not about the ground floor. It's about what you do in the environment that works best for you.
Mic drop there, but okay, great. Exactly. All right. So we've talked about the recruiting part. We've talked about the market, so to speak. We've talked about, some great thoughts on building your business and how to get it re-going again. And now we've got this other thing that a lot of agents are fearful on. And John, is the change in what we're going to see in our business affecting our market today, and will it affect our market later on?
Well, I mean, like the NAR settlement and things like that.
Yeah.
Nothing's happened yet. So if you're watching this, like, don't get distracted by that stuff. Don't watch the news. Put your head down and build relationships. The best insulation that anyone has against market conditions is the number of quality relationships they have in the world. So number one is don't get distracted by that stuff, and please continue to just build relationships and serve people, and you'll always be fine. You'll always have more business than you need if you have great core values and you go out and you help as many people as possible in an authentic, caring way. The NAR settlement and things like that, I just look at the money aspect of it. So like everything in the world, if you want to understand how it works, the phrase is follow the money. And so if I follow the money with that settlement, I see that the attorneys made a couple $100 million, but like, that's not a lot of money. Like our current environment with inflation, like we talk like government stuff, like the DOJ is involved and all this other stuff. Like we talk about things in trillions of dollars when they matter, and like billions of dollars when they're like insignificant, but hundreds of millions of dollars is not significant enough to matter. And so by the time the attorneys take the money and pay the taxes and everything else, like there's not a lot of money there. And then if you take the rest of the settlement, that's going to go to the consumer, right? This was all done for the consumer's benefit. Well, for the consumer, they're all going to get like a couple $100 or maybe a couple $1,000. That's not changing anyone's life. That's not doing anything. That's not why this was done. And so you have to ask yourself, like, where is the money? Who stands to benefit the most from the changes that are being made in the industry? Because nobody believes this. There's no way that we did all this for the benefit of the consumer. Because like, I've never worked with a client that didn't know what I got paid, whether it was a buyer or a seller. I've never worked with a seller that wasn't aware of like how the buyer's agent got compensated. Like none of that, that's all BS. That is complete BS. I've never sat down with a client that didn't know commissions were negotiable, because every single client that I've ever worked with, I've had to negotiate my damn commission with. Every single time I've had to be like, I charge this. And they're like, would you do it for less? And I'm like, no. And this is why. And like, that has happened. I have sold a lot of houses, and that has happened every single time. And that is the same thing for every single person I know. So it's not like the consumer didn't know that. So that's all BS. So for following the money, who's going to make the money? Well, we already have large institutions who have turned the American dream, residential housing in America, which we already don't have enough of. We have large financial institutions that have turned that into a commodity, into an asset class. And as a result, they now hold somewhere between 20 to 30% of the market. These are firms like BlackRock. They now hold a massive share of the entire market. And yet they ran up against a problem. And that problem was the real estate agent, because we stepped in to say, don't sell your home to Zillow offers. Don't sell your home to these institutional investors that just want, Open Door and whoever else wants to just write a check for your property, because you're not selling for the peak market value. And so don't undersell your property, sell it on the open market where you're going to get the most money. But when you try and disintermediate the real estate agent from the process, when you try and get the consumer to have to pay their buyer agent out of pocket, and so then you remove representation and you create more dual agency opportunities, all of these things that are likely to come from this, the person or the thing they benefit the most is the institutional investor, because it gives them a more direct path to take properties away from Americans and put them in the hands of these institutions, taking them off the market forever, further diminishing the total amount of properties that are available for people to own, and making a lot of money by buying properties under true market value.
Right.
And that might sound like a conspiracy theory to somebody on here, but I promise you, if you replay that and you think that through, that is the money. If you want to follow the money, that's where the money is. And that is what is actually going on here, because that is the way, unfortunately, our government and our democracy functions. It is a function of capitalism, and that is capitalism at its finest.
And this started a long time ago, right? And it was fueled also by, the shit back in 05 to 08 and everything else. And everybody was waiting at that time. When's the shadow inventory coming? The foreclosures, it never happened.
They're not selling it. They have no interest in selling it. They make way too much money by renting it out and holding it and withholding it from the market. And that is the play. That is the long-term play, is to pull that inventory off the market forever. And those homes, once purchased, will never be back in the consumer's hands. And we can't catch up. We didn't build houses for 10 years during the crash. And so our deficiency of inventory for people who need houses will never catch up, which is why now all the money is stacked in multifamily and in rentals. And so if you were a developer and you want to go and put money out there to build properties, you're not building properties people can own. You're only building properties people can rent. Because that is what is the most lucrative. And so until the government steps in and subsidizes the investors who want to develop properties and encourages them either through tax benefits or by taking risk off the table, by giving free money to people who want to develop properties that are going to be sold to Americans, to first-time home buyers, to people like normal people, Until the government does something for that, we will never address this inventory issue, and it will only continue to get worse. And the concept of the American dream for most people is eroding. And our children, if we don't purchase properties and hold properties for our kids, they will not have access. It will not be available to the next generation of people to be able to build wealth and have the protection of home ownership the way that past generations have had it. It won't exist.
You know, what's really interesting about that, there's two things of proof to what you're saying. One is what I just said about when it really got going. And the other is drive anywhere in this country and you're going to see, you know, these 50, 100 unit buildings being built all over the place. Like typically every year I drive from New Jersey to Florida. And I will tell you that I don't think I go 100 miles without seeing a new one being built, right? And this is everywhere. In my area of New Jersey, there's got to be 30 or 40 of them going up at a time.
Rents follow rates. When the interest rate goes up, so do the rents. It has never been more lucrative to be a landlord.
So let me ask you this question, okay? Here's the theory. So with all these, what they call luxury rentals going up, is there going to be a time when those owners are going to be in trouble because things shift?
No, because they bought them in whatever price. The asset value of the land and everything else only continues to rise through inflation, and so do the rents. So if they pencil on day one, they only get more lucrative over time. I mean, theoretically, deferred maintenance and things like that could catch up. But I mean, that hasn't caught up to people in 50, 60 years in a lot of scenarios. Like, no, and they get the tax benefits of depreciation and all the other things that are stacked in the favor of people who own property. When you own, when you're a landlord and you own property like that, all of the tax benefits are geared towards you. Right. And most people are not in a position to be one of those people. So again, this is the rich get richer. This is the elite. This is a very small percentage of the population who are winning because the rules are all built to have them succeed. This has nothing to do with the consumer. It sucks. It's
none
sad.
of it has.
It's sad and it sucks.
None of it has anything to do with the consumer unless we go back to where we started today. It's talking about building relationships and helping as many people as you possibly can to continue with that American dream. Hey, John, this has been we've gone a full gamut of a lot of great information. Your information, your conversation, our conversation today should have helped a lot of people. If they don't watch it live, they'll see it later. But it's been such a great thing. And I wanted to mention that if people wanted to go back and watch the previous episode, it was episode 225. And it is on our Real Estate Talk TGIF YouTube channel. And every episode is there. And if you dig deep enough into my channel, you'll see my very first video from about 15, 16 years ago, which is pretty funny. But anyway, John, I want to thank you so much. I got two things for you. I have three things, actually. Right. One, really quickly. What does a real estate agent today have to start doing in order to get rolling again?
They need to have 100 coffees in 30 days. There
you go. The next thing is really simply, I want to thank you so much for being on today. How can I help you grow your business?
Dave, you already have, man. My business is helping as many people as possible. So I appreciate you having me on and giving me the platform to share these ideas with people and to hopefully inspire some people to get out there and build communities and build relationships. And if anybody would like to get in touch with me, my info is on the screen right now. It's John Pugh. You can DM me on Instagram or follow me on TikTok for a lot of great information that might be able to help you.
Yeah, it's great stuff too, because John, I see your stuff all the time and I listen to it. I mean, it's little tidbits of stuff and it's big tidbits of stuff at the same time. So anyway, so look, you came on again and you said, what do you got? And I said, the new color.
There it is.
It's a new color from what you got a couple of years ago.
Me, right? I gotta have the fresh swag.
Yeah, it's gonna be fresh. It's gonna be coming out to you, this hat. And everybody, look, I want to thank everybody for coming on. I always say we have a lot of great people on our broadcast, and we just keep going. We have John this week, and we have next week. We have Gogo Bethke coming on next week.
Tell Gogo I said hi. Ask her what she thinks about me on the show. She'll tell you a fun story about me. I love Go Bethke so much. You guys definitely tune in for that. And again, Dave, thank you for having me on the show. I want to just highlight one thing. Things are great. Like, ideas are great. Implementation is king. But the thing that will change your life is consistency. And if you can learn anything from this podcast, it's Dave and the consistency that he's put forward with this. The fact that he's done this many episodes, this consecutively for this long, almost no one will ever do anything like that. And so, Dave, you are a great role model for people who want to be successful, because you show up every single week prepared with great people. You put a ton of energy into this. So anyone watching this, if you are thinking about EXP, if you are looking to grow your business, if you're in New Jersey and you want to buy a house or work with someone, like, reach out to Dave. Dave is such a good guy, and he is the pillar of consistency, and he puts his heart into this. So definitely make sure you reach out to Dave.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means a lot to me. And I just want to add one other thing that nobody knows as of yet, but they'll know later today. I just happened to be able to get one of my great friends to join us for a special episode tomorrow. It will be tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern. I know it's early for everybody, but you'll either want to join us live or join us with the replay on Facebook. And his name is John Cheplack.
Oh,
Friend, John's going to be on. I'm really excited about having John, and he was on several years ago, and I've known
watch that. Cheplack is the man for sure, and you don't want to miss that one at all. And he's just the better looking version of me. So
I like that. I like that very much. John, thanks so much. Please stay on for a second as we go out. And you know what? Here we go.
See ya.
Videotape there, Nelson.